Hey everyone, what is going on? So we're doing more PvP battles, and some of you, or at least most of you, had said that you prefer the sped up battles, and I actually agree, so that's what we're going to go ahead and we're going to do. We're going to speed up the videos again because I do enjoy doing that, and taking a look at some interesting Pokemon, including Togetic. Now, Togetic does have Dazzling Gleam as a charge move. It also does have Confusion, I believe it's Confusion, right, as a fast move. So it kind of works the same as Venomoth in a way. I mean, it's a little bit different, doesn't have that bug move as a charge move, but you know, a little bit different, but still has that Confusion move. I still feel like Venomoth is better. I don't think Togetic is worth using. There's only one Pokemon in this set that I'm using that I actually feel is worth it, and we'll talk about that as we get to it. But anyway, switch into that Toxicroak. He does have a Skunk Tank using Flamethrower. Decided to block because I knew I would be able to knock him out and then have a charge move ready, and I do have that Mud Bomb. Some of you had also asked, why don't you do maximum damage every turn, like the 3 rings? And honestly, usually at the start of the games or when we start battling, I'm able to, but then my hands and my arms, my fingers get tired, you know, so it's like, it's more difficult for me to continue to tap the more we play. So that's why you sometimes see 2 rings, even 1 ring occasionally, you know, because I just can't keep up with it. You know, I don't have this kind of stamina, I guess. I don't know. But either way, we do go ahead, take victory in game 1. Beginning game 2, I do have my Crobat. He does have his shiny Umbreon. I believe this battle is also testing out that Togetic. And we do switch into Toxicroak just because we don't take much damage from Dark moves. He's going to pull the switch into Venomoth. And not too bad because we do have that Mud Bomb. Unfortunately, he has a Confusion, which is going to knock us out. Again, another reason why you really don't want to switch first if you can avoid it. We do switch into Togetic and that Confusion as a fast move. Gonna make quick work of that Venomoth, so we're gonna go ahead, take that out, use Dazzling Gleam immediately. He does go ahead and block out. A little surprised that he blocked it because I thought he knew I had Dazzling Gleam, but who knows, maybe he thought I had a secondary move. But I'm not gonna purchase a secondary move on Togetic because it's a Pokemon that I'm not gonna use for the Twilight Cup. But I do go ahead and use Sludge Bomb on that Tentacruel, and sorry if I sound a little stuffy, I'm actually getting a cold, you know, but anyway, he does go ahead, use that Sludge Wave. I use Sludge Bomb, and I do go ahead and knock out Tentacruel. He switches into shiny Umbreon, and that's going to knock out my Crobat, and that's going to finish up the game, so he does take victory in game number 2. So really good game. Moving on to yet another game. I am beginning with Azumarill. I really like this Pokemon, as you guys know. Just going to keep it in because the fighting type moves don't do much. Mud Bomb does not do much. We do go ahead, get off that Ice Beam, and he's going to block it. Probably thinking it's play rough, but I just wanted to use the first charge move I could activate, which was Ice Beam, because it does charge up quicker, because I predicted that he would use a shield. He does go for that Dynamic Punch, and I do go ahead and block it just because I'm a little bit low. I do go ahead, use Ice Beam, and that is going to knock him out. Toxicroak, not really a bulky Pokemon, but he does switch into Venomoth, and I know I do have the Ice Beam, so he was probably saving the shield for this, so that's why he does go ahead and use that Protect Shield, which is kind of what I knew he would do. He does go ahead and knock out Azumarill. I switch into my Mr. Mime. This is probably the best Pokemon of the games that I'm using in these matches, or at least the one that I think is the best. I don't think it's the greatest Pokemon. I currently have Confusion and Psybeam, excuse me, Confusion and Psybeam, and if you're going for a secondary move, definitely have Shadow Ball. I would actually think that Shadow Ball is probably better than Psybeam in general, so if you're only going with one move, I would say go with that Shadow Ball. But the reason I'm not going with it is because I'm not going to be using Mr. Mime in the tournament, so I'm not going to use a Charge TM on it. But I would say Shadow Ball, or if you're going with both moves, Psybeam and Shadow Ball. Because it also has Psychic, and I wouldn't go with Psychic. But he does switch into his Venomoth. A little questionable. I don't know why he made that switch, but I do go ahead and use the Ice Beam, which is going to do quite a bit of damage to it. So he's almost knocked out already. He does use Bug Buzz, and I can activate another charge move, but I decided to just continue to use Bubble, so I can knock it out. And he does switch into Tentacle. I actually go ahead and use the Play Rough. Should have switched here. I just immediately tapped on it. I guess I kept on going, whatever. Use Ice Beam. Not really doing a lot of damage, but we are chipping away. And I do go ahead and think a little bit which one I want to go in. Of course, Mr. Mime is going to be the better choice because I do have that Confusion as a fast move. He does go ahead and Sludge Wave. Now, I am a Fairy type, so it is super effective, and I'm able to knock him out easily. He does have the Quillfish. Now, this Psybeam would do a lot of damage. Of course, he's going to block, and Confusion still doing a lot of damage, so he's almost at half. I do switch into that Toxicroak. Going to go ahead and I have to block that Ice Beam, and now I have the Mud Bomb, and that is going to be able to knock out Qwilfish if he didn't have that shield, but of course he did, but we still go ahead and knock it out anyway. So that is yet another game for us, so we do take that win, so another really nice game. Moving on to yet another game, trying out Misdreavus. Now, some people are saying Misdreavus is pretty good. I don't know. I don't think it's that good. Maybe it's because of all these dark moves like Bite, running around, Snarl. You have, a bunch of different dark moves that could do a lot of damage to Misdreavus. Easily going to knock it out. So I'm not going to go with Misdreavus. I don't have the best moveset on it. It's really not a Pokemon that I think is great, but we do have it for this battle just to see what it's like, Why not? It was exactly at 1500 CP, so that's why I decided to go ahead and just use it for this battle, just to get an idea. But we do switch into Venomoth. That's going to easily knock out Tentacruel. He pulls into the switch to Skuntank. Excuse me, my nose is really stuffy, guys. And we do go ahead and get off that bug move, and that's going to do a lot of damage to it. We get off another Silver Wind, and of course he is going to block that. I kind of knew he would, just because he had 2 shields left, and he would have been knocked out had he not blocked it. But look how much damage that Bite is doing to my Misdreavus. We did get off a Dark Pulse, but again, it does knock it out, but anything would have knocked it out, and he comes in immediately and knocks out Misdreavus. So I would not recommend Misdreavus at all. I just wanted to use it because it was at 1500 CP. Didn't invest in it at all outside of that, and it's kind of interesting, kind of fun, I guess, to use it. Why not, right? So we do have that Toxicroak for this battle. He does have a Qwilfish. Do get off that Mud Bomb, but he goes ahead and blocks it. Mud Bomb would have done a lot of damage to Qwilfish. I go ahead and block that Ice Beam because I knew I would get another Mud Bomb off, and that Mud Bomb he is going to block, and that forfeits both of his shields, so he is out of shield, so I'm really happy about that. Bring in my Mr. Mime because Mr. Mime is going to be able to knock out that poison Qwilfish, and I go ahead and pull the switch, and then he pulls the switch again. So unfortunately I'm stuck in with my Azumel, so bad switch on my end. Probably shouldn't have done that, but Mr. Mime really wasn't doing anything to Skuntank. That's why I did pull the switch, but he does go ahead and use that Sludge Wave, and I do block. I do go ahead and use Play Rough. Not doing a lot of damage, as I've said before, but again, we are chipping away at its health because Azumel is so bulky. It's still taking those hits, and now I do have Mr. Mime, which of course is going to be able to knock out Tentacruel, but he does have Skuntank, and Skuntank is going to easily be able to knock out Mr. Mime. Now, as I said, if you do plan on going with Mr. Mime, Confusion as a fast move, Psybeam, and Shadow Ball. Now, I know Mr. Mime is a regional exclusive, so it's actually kind of hard to get. Maybe you got it out of the 7-kilometer eggs when it was available. Maybe you didn't, but either way, I don't think it's the best Pokemon. I mean, I still think Venomoth with Confusion is a better option for this particular cup, but we actually just go ahead and knock out, with Mr. Mime. So we actually did take a lead. He did bring in that Toxicroak, and we do knock it out with Confusion, and now he brings in another poison type Tentacruel, which is weak to Mr. Mime's Confusion. So we did go ahead and almost take a 3-0 win with Mr. Mime. However, Venomoth basically would have done that with Confusion as well. So, yeah, Mr. Mime did help, but Venomoth could have done that as well, and Mr. Mime is just really, it's really a frail Pokemon, so, that's why I prefer, like, the Venomoth. I don't know about you guys, but Mr. Mime isn't the worst of the worst. It's definitely the best of the Pokemon I've used. It's better than Togetic, it's better than Misdreavus, so, it's definitely a fun Pokemon to use. But jumping into the second to last game, and I am beginning with my Alolan Muck. He begins with Alolan Ninetales. Now, Alolan Muck does have an advantage because I do have that Poison Jab, so it's going to do a lot of damage to the Fairy Alolan Ninetales. He switches into Skuntank. I switch into Crobat. Maybe not the best switch on my end. He does get off a Flamethrower. I knew that would do a good amount of damage, so I did block it. I get off a Sludge Bomb. He's going to go ahead and block that. I wasn't sure if he would block it, but I guess it makes sense to block it. He does knock out my Crobat, but his Skuntank is almost gone, so I'm going to bring in the Alolan Muck, get off that Dark Pulse, and he's going to use his last shield, and I am going to use my last shield to protect myself from Flamethrower. So knew I would be able to knock out that Skuntank with Poison Jab, and I have the Dark Pulse ready to go, which is what we're going to do. Going to go ahead and activate it on that Qwilfish, doing a lot of damage to Qwilfish, but he is able to knock us out, and I bring in that Mr. Mime. And he does a lot of damage, of course, with that Ice Beam. I should have, well, I couldn't have blocked it. I was about to say I should have blocked it, but I was out of shield. So no, he does go ahead and take that game. So, yet another good game. Moving on to the final match of this video. And I am beginning with Toxicroak. He begins with Skuntank, and Of course, you know, I'm going to do a good amount of damage with those fighting moves, even though it's neutral. He brings in Venomoth, so I'm going to switch out to Mr. Mime. And, of course, Mr. Mime is going to dominate Venomoth. So if they go head-to-head, Mr. Mime is going to take the win against Venomoth. I do get off that Psybeam. I'm not going to do a lot because Skunk Tank does resist it, of course, because it is part dark as well, in addition to poison. But he does knock out my Mr. Mime. I bring in Toxicroak, get that Mud Bomb off immediately, and he's going to go ahead and block that because that would have knocked out that Skunk Tank. I do go ahead and block that Sludge Bomb because I would have been knocked out, and I knew I would be able to get off another Mud Bomb or Dynamic Punch on the next Pokemon that comes in, which is going to be Tentacruel. So he does forfeit his last shield, and I bring in my last Pokemon, which is Crobat. So it's we're kind of like even at this point. He does get off his Sludge Wave. I knew it wouldn't knock me out, but I also knew it would do a lot of damage. So I get off my Shadow Ball, tapping as fast as I can, and we take the win. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.